Rachel Zegler will never work in Hollywood again. I have said this. I have said that Rachel Zegler will have a career on Broadway. She'll have a career in small indie movies. She will never be featured in a tentpole Hollywood blockbuster costing millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not going to happen. So now it's been revealed. Alan, I know you could I'll bring up the story, but if you would read from the story, please.
Sure.
So let me bring this up. This is from Disney is actually now blaming or throwing under the bus Rachel Zegler. This is from Jordan Rumi. It's from his blog, The World of Real. Disney blaming Rachel Zegler for Snow White. Alan, if you would.
Yes, as Snow White struggled at the box office, Disney appeared to distance itself from Rachel Zegler, casting her as the scapegoat for the film's failure. According to a Variety report filled with anonymous Disney-linked sources, Zegler's behavior, both in interviews and on social media, allegedly created headaches for the studio. Her controversial remarks began with criticism of the original 1938 Snow White, which she called weird and creepy. Things escalated when, during the film's promotion, she posted Free Palestine on social media after introducing the trailer at the Disney's D23 Expo. This reportedly shocked Disney executives, especially as tensions over the Israeli-Palestinian conflict intensified. As the controversy mounted, Zegler's past political statements resurfaced, including anti-Trump posts that prompted Disney to assign her a social media guru to vet her online activity. In the months leading up to the film's release, Zegler made a dramatic shift in tone, apologizing to Trump supporters and offering praise to her critics, a move seemingly orchestrated to control the damage. Despite these efforts, Snow White underperformed, and Disney's handling of Zegler suggested an attempt to shift blame onto the actress rather than acknowledge broader issues with the film's production and reception.
Look, she's a child. There's no excuse based on her age to not be professional. And what she did, and we'll go to another story related, her words like had real world consequences, right? That could have hurt one of her co-stars. You know, I'm speaking, of course, of the Israeli-born Gal Gadot. And we'll get to that, but Alan, what do you think of this? I mean, look, I think there is a certain, and to give credit for the Little Mermaid movie, Halle Bailey, she was a total pro. She went through that press tour with a smile. She never vilified anyone. I thought she was very good in that movie. She really has like a Disney princess kind of look.
She had the Ariel vibe.
I still think just make a new character, but whatever. They should have just not done Ariel. Tell a different mermaid story, but whatever.
Here's a more interesting thing. The D23 Expo that the Zegler made those comments. Halle Bailey show was there, and I remember the first thing thinking was, this is Black Ariel. I mean, the way she presented herself, the way she came across, it was like, I understand why they cast her, but as you say, you know, we still want a little bit of authenticity when it comes to the original property.
Yeah.
All right. But in terms of this, I'll say this. We've talked ad nauseum about Rachel Zegler's comments. Let's just say, remove the comments. Let's just say that she was a PR pro and her social media was great. Snow White is still an awful movie. The story is awful. The whole communism angle, the girl bossing, it is bad. I want to feel like, or I believe that parents really didn't care about what Rachel said, that they're not that in tune like we are to pre-promotion, but what they are in tune with is bad movies. And that the average person knows a bad movie when they see it. And this was certainly it. We talked a little bit about it on Versus, but if you look at the Rotten Tomatoes, it's less than half, and outlets like the New York Times and Variety trashed this movie just as much as we did. By the way, they just announced a new person, or they're about to. Sorry.
Well, let's just continue, finish
Yeah.
this. And
So
we'll
that's
go back.
So it's still a bad movie.
Look, like you can't deny the movie's bad. And the worst thing is when it comes to the final movie, she's not even the worst part about the movie.
Mhm.
The script, the songs,
Yeah.
like
The dwarves.
the dwarves were awful, but Rachel Zegler was fine and she can sing. So that was a surprise. But her off camera or off screen conduct, that is what will tank her career. She only has herself to blame.
All right.
Let's talk about Gal Gadot, the co-star of Rachel Zegler in the Snow White film from Disney. This is from Hollywood in Toto. That's Christian Toto's blog. Legacy Media buries death threats against Gal Gadot. Snow White star attacked for pro-Israel stance while others received more coverage. This is after Rachel. If you would read the story, Alan, give us the crux of it here.
Hold on. I didn't get the link. I just found it, and now I'm looking for the. Okay, here we go. So inside Disney's Disney Snow White fiasco, death threats, beat up security, and a social media guru for Rachel Zegler reads the Variety headline. Gadot is Jewish and previously served in the IDF. She has been outspoken about supporting Israel and has been a very modest part of, and it's been a very modest part of her public persona. That was enough to inspire pro-Palestinian supporters to not only call for her death, but to inspire Disney to hire security above and beyond what a traditional celebrity receives, according to Variety. So where is the headline in the story? Right-leaning outlet like the Daily Mail covered the news. Yahoo recycled the Variety scoop and made it an obvious headline. That's all according to good faith Google News search. It's impossible not to see a connection to the Gadot news and recent media narratives. When pro-Jewish documentaries hit the market, most movie critics avoid them. If a Jewish star gets canceled, threatened, or worse, most media outlets simply grow mostly silent. And when an A-list actress endures enough death threats to require security forces, the story barely makes a ripple in the news waters.
Well, look, this is why I think people are so upset with Rachel Zegler, and she really maybe at least more than 50% responsible for the failure of this movie. But not only that, the movie was ill-conceived to begin with. To do a kind of girl bossy version of Snow White, it's not the character. And for her to do this against her co-star, put her life at risk, I cannot believe they stood next to each other at the Oscars. This is going to be a lesson for Hollywood, and I don't think Rachel Zegler will learn the lesson. She will simply take her career. Well, she will be applauded on Broadway. Alan, what do you think?
Yeah, to Christian's point, this is the reason why we don't trust the mainstream media, because they're clearly biased. The media should just present the facts. Doesn't matter if it's right-leaning news or left-leaning news. Just present what's going on. And the story of Gal Gadot needing extra security above and beyond what the normal person gets, the fact that the death threats against her are not being reported just tells you that the mainstream media is just one-sided, and we're not getting the full picture. And I think that's the reason why we don't like the mainstream media is because we don't get the full picture. We only get one-sided, and burying stories like this is just indicative of that. And so ultimately the question is, when did anti-Semitism become in style again?
When the U.S. aid was funding all of it,
Yeah,
and funding all of the campus indoctrination and protests. That's when it happened. So look, this is when you get hired, and I think you're going to see contracts for actors change. You get hired to work on a big franchise film, you have a responsibility. You represent Disney and to the public, right? And her behavior on social media and interviews, I think maybe in the beginning she was given bad advice. She's not going to be saved by the prince. She's not going to be saved by the prince. Okay, sure. She might have been fed things to say. It might not have been her. So she was getting bad advice, but to continue on that and then to post about the Snow White trailer, include a Free Palestine little note at the end, was a dig at her co-star. And it's disgusting behavior, quite frankly.
Yeah, especially when you're promoting your movie in that.
Yes. It's so obvious. I don't know this. Look, I do think that you're going to see more and more actors that will be muzzled. And like, if they're smart, like Scarlett Johansson, just don't have a social media presence. If you can't help yourself, and I'm okay with celebrities having opinions, but at the same time, vilifying half the country, and that you can have your opinions, but like you do have a responsibility, especially when the movie is hundreds of millions of dollars and tied to a legacy movie that began the very company that's writes the signs the checks your paycheck. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, that is horrifying. Final thoughts. We'll go to comments.
Yeah, I mean, this is the same with Rachel Zegler. It's, ignore all that stuff. It's really, the bottom line is what's on the screen. Hate to say it, gal, but your performance was awful. Your song was cringeworthy. And again, not necessarily your fault, but man, what a train wreck this movie was. And all this outside pressure didn't help a damn for this movie. So it's gonna, I think I'm leaning more toward this movie heading into the Marvel's territory in terms of it'll be out of theaters in 2 weeks from now. And I don't think it'll get that slow burn that Mufasa or the Elemental got in the theaters.
According to the coupon that I got on Hollywood Boulevard, it's playing through April 20th at the El Capitan Theater. So they literally, Disney giving out coupons in stores all up and down Hollywood Boulevard to see Snow White for $20. So
yeah,
we'll see how it works out. We'll see how it works out. And I do believe second weekend for this movie will be very telling. Is it going to be Mufasa and the regular families go to movies will ignore the noise, or will it tank like Strange World? Strange World tanked.
Yeah.
Buzz Lightyear tanked, but Mufasa, a bad movie, did not tank. So it's very possible Snow White could still end up with a mine car of gold.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because Strange World and Lightyear tanked for a very specific reason.
Yeah.
I think this is definitely the Marvel's territory. I think it's just people realize it's a bad movie and they're not going to spend $20 at the El Cap, which is a great deal, by the way.
That is a great deal.
They're not going to spend that money to go see this movie.